Hello and welcome to IT in Canada. I'm Michael O'Neill and I'm joined today by David Frattura of Alcatel-Lucent and by Sita Lowman of HP. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Here in Vienna, I have three questions for you about the cloud and about today's announcement. Let's start with something, David, that you've been talking about, the shift from the casual cloud to the business cloud. What capabilities does a customer need from a provider to feel comfortable about making a leap like that?
So just to clarify, casual cloud from our point of view is really about today's ability to buy over-the-top services. What we see is those are non-guaranteed. There's little in the way of SLAs. There's little in the way of network performance characteristics that you can predict and guarantee. So this concept of the evolution away from casual cloud to business or carrier-grade cloud is one that focuses on really tightly linking a service provider's network, and not necessarily an over-the-top or internet-based network access, but actually business service networks like IP VPNs, L2 VPNs, traditional business service wide area solutions, and tightly linking those with IT services, being able to cross-automate between different systems so that an enterprise can go into a portal, buy a service, attach it to an existing WAN service, but then buy network-based differentiation like latency guarantees, guaranteed bandwidth for a service, and then importantly, define end-to-end SLAs, one that encompasses both the IT as well as the network, such that at the end of the day they get an alarm for the entire service, not one component or another. And if you think about today, when you have over-the-top providers, usually use another service provider, your internet service provider, to gain access to that cloud service or that data center operator. And so when you have issues, who do you point to? Right? So one of the challenges that Alcatel-Lucent and HP really want to solve is creating an environment where a CIO or a business owner really feels comfortable putting mission-critical services or consuming mission-critical applications from the cloud and making it something that they can actually bet their business on.
Thanks, and that's actually a great springboard to my second question, which is about the sources of demand for services like this. Cloud can be sold to IT or it can be sold to business management looking to provide new services to customers. What's unique about the business management demands and what do providers and IT need to do together to support these business customers? Sita, maybe we can start with
Sure. I think the business marketing or business services employees within the communication service providers are really looking at cloud as a way to launch a whole new series of services to markets like the SMB. And they're thinking, that there's, hosted email and infrastructure, compute on demand, storage on demand, and really saying I could offer these and bundle these together with communication services and be able to provide these through one single interface and with one single bill to these different constituents. And then obviously as they do that, they need to partner with their CIO counterparts and their network counterparts to understand, well, what will be the SLA of how they will do that, how will they manage the data center and the network infrastructure to provide a very meaningful and efficient delivery of all of those cloud services to their business customers.
Thanks. And David, does this refer back to that end-to-end SLA point that you made?
Absolutely. And I think for any of the marketing members of a communications service providers team, they've historically sold communication systems, services, wide area network, and you look at this huge opportunity and huge demand from enterprises for mission critical services, and they look at their capability and the proven history of being able to deliver mission critical infrastructure services, and they see an opportunity where they can really combine IT and communications together and deliver it with the quality that they don't see in the marketplace today. And working with the network team as well as the IT team and really building that integrated service becomes priority for them. And then from the organizational point of view, you're also starting to see IT and communications organizations inside of providers become much more closely aligned with each other. IT is not necessarily back end in these service providers anymore. It's moving to the revenue generating side, which is a very important thing.
Thanks, and let's close with the idea of revenue generation. Sita, you've talked about the role of a cloud broker enabling SMBs to source multiple cloud-based resources. How do you envision that working?
Well, more and more there are cloud services popping up all over the world, and what we see is the service provider becoming that trusted partner to the business community to basically aggregate all of these cloud services and becoming what we call a cloud broker, so that they can aggregate all of these, bundle them together, and then offer them to these business customers out there. And so really being able to offer all of these differentiated services, so the SMB doesn't actually have to go pick and choose all of these independently and have different agreements with all of these, but they can have through one monthly bill or one monthly rate the ability to have all these different cloud services.
And presumably that will require the cloud service aggregator to have common APIs on the back end and the front end to provide consistent user interfaces at one end and data access.
Well, and there's multiple levels. There's the consistency for the telco to basically aggregate all of these services. So the telcos they themselves don't necessarily want to become expert on all these different cloud services. So they have a consistent process whereby they can onboard all of these different services and integrate them with their back end. And then likewise, they want to be able to sell these either directly to the SMB market or through resellers, and they want a very consistent approach to be able to do that. And then from the SMB's perspective, they want a very simple interface whereby they can use all of these different applications. They can have single sign-on, so no matter what the service is, they can get into it. And then obviously the billing side of it, they want a very simple way to get a bill for all of these services.
Thank you very much. Like this entire event, that was really informative. On behalf of IT in Canada, thank you so much for joining us today.